Monarch Token, a Monarch Wallet, StrokenTokens.com, Bitcoin Energy, and Bitbacker.io. Shout out to Satoshi's Ball by JarsLearnCrypto.com in Ottawa, December 15th. Monarch Token, a Monarch Wallet, StrokenTokens.com, Bitcoin Energy, and Bitbacker.io. Shout out to Satoshi's Ball by JarsLearnCrypto.com in Ottawa, December 15th. Monarch Token, a Monarch Wallet, StrokenTokens.com, Bitcoin Energy, and Bitbacker.io. There we go. Hey, how goes it? Kenn Bosak here to talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin accessories. And today I'm here to have a fireside chat with Crypto Hamster. How goes it, bro? You're over there in Japan making videos in Russian. Come on, man. Tell everybody who you are, how you got into Bitcoin, and what you're doing in the industry now.
Good morning for me and probably good afternoon for you and a lot
Oh
of people
yeah,
who are
man. It's
watching.
2 o'clock here and 3 a.m. where you're at, man. I appreciate you
Four,
waking
it's
up.
four, but it's still, yeah,
Wow, so
yeah.
early. I appreciate it. Thank you. So, who
Thank
are
you for
you?
having me.
How did you get into Bitcoin? And what are you doing right now in the industry?
I'm just the person who is interested in crypto. I'm like a crypto enthusiast, as people call them. Uh, don't have any like huge impact or something, but I just realized that Bitcoin is a huge thing. Actually, first time I've heard about it probably was 2013. And then I thought that, oh, it's some kind of joke, people just fooling around, and it's nothing serious and not a big deal. And I didn't even look at like white paper or something like that because I didn't expect that it may be something huge like that. And then when it was the biggest hype, I guess in 2017, I realized that wait, so many bubbles already there, and the price is so huge, and people like actually interesting thing that probably in the middle of 2017, I started to get the advertisement on YouTube about the Bitcoin and crypto and how to get rich and how to start mining and everything. Although I wasn't really interested about that before, so I didn't look at the similar sites, so I shouldn't be targeted. But I thought that okay, it's probably huge if it is in that level. So I looked at that, and first I thought, well, probably it's some kind of like people try to make a quick buck, and then I start to dig it even more because it's still interesting. And I looked at the white paper, I looked at the people, what people are saying, and so okay, there are other altcoins. There is like scarcity, there is the mining issues and everything. And so wow, this is actually like possibly next revolution in finances. And in principle, I was very interested in economics for all my life, although my major is physics, and I have PhD in semiconductor physics, and I work in this industry,
Oh,
my
cool.
full-time job. No, it's awful, but
I mean, it's awful for you. I mean, I think it's cool. I didn't have to go to school
yeah,
for it, so
exactly. Like all the people who I'm talking about this from crypto space, they ask them like, "What are you doing?" I'm saying, I'm in microelectronics. I'm researching materials for stuff," and they say, "Wow, that's so interesting." I say, "Nah." Yeah, but anyway, I was interested in finances. I thought that this is the next huge step in finances because I'm pretty sure that we are like in a pretty much of a bubble in general in this field, and soon, maybe I don't know when, but it's very likely that we may soon see some huge changes, and they won't be that great, and maybe crypto can resolve some things. So I thought I shall be in this field. I shall talk with people. I shall understand more and see how it will go. And then when I actually like a lot of people get into crypto in terms of the investments, they buy Bitcoin, they buy altcoins just because they thought this is the really profitable thing. Like next
yeah.
year, if I will hold, then I will have my Lambo or $1 million or something. I thought that too, by the way, but that wasn't the major thing. I thought that actually, although it's so hyped now, I realized that it may drop to like $1,000 next month. I realized that in general, like in long term, it must be a huge thing. And although I could bet on that and lose very likely if
That's
I would
true.
like to say buy Bitcoin in 20K and then it will drop as it did now. So still long term, it's the really high risk to return ratio in general. So I thought, who cares? I will buy an average down and I did it and it was awful, but yeah, it's still funny
So, what
times. And
inspires you to start your YouTube channel? I know that you're in Japan right now, but the YouTube videos you're making are in Russian, and you can see you put a lot of time and effort and research into your videos. They're pretty high quality for
oh,
the YouTube
thanks.
videos. I'm just wondering like what inspired you to start doing that channel? And I mean, clearly you speak English, and you're in Japan where they speak Japanese. So like, what? How did this all happen? What were the dominoes that led to where you're at right now with your YouTube stuff?
That's fairly easy. I when I was looking at those like tons of videos on YouTube about crypto, about Bitcoin, I also have seen both English and Russian. So I speak Russian, I speak English. I watched both types of the videos, but I realized that not only in Russian, but in Russian I think it's more, but in English is a little less, but especially in Russian, a lot of the content is just a full crap. So people they don't understand basics. They speak absolutely shitty things, and even like on the fundamental level, and not mentioning the news like the way when they say, oh, this like coin will move because of this and that, or something like this, or but just even the fundamentals, how they explain mining, how they explain the hard forks or whatever.
Right, and it's not like Andreas Antonopoulos and other people make
No,
videos in
no,
other languages. So there's like a big barrier to like misinformation due to like
exactly.
lost in
Yeah,
translation content.
but not even the translation, because a lot of for example, speaking about the Russian content, people they don't really, well, a lot of the people they don't speak English very well, so they base on their knowledge on the Russian sources, and still it's much less comparing to the English information part. So they got more easily tricked and got just misinformed. So that becomes like an avalanche, and eventually they all repeat them each other speaking just the wrong things. So I thought that what the hell. Although I'm not that experienced in the field, I still see those mistakes. So I will make my own channel. I have in my Twitter account. I will state just a reasonable and not so shilling, I hope, things, but just some voice of reasonability, maybe. I will hope that I do that. So yeah, I've started the channel. It's really started from 0 subscribers. I don't buy those because a lot of people go like from 1 to 1,000 in 2 days.
You didn't go to
Really,
Amazon and buy your subscribers
yeah,
on Cyber Monday. There was a deal,
yeah,
man.
yeah, I know. No, I don't go this way. I want to just I'm enjoying that
So
actually.
what's the goal of
So
the channel? Like what's your what's the goal? Because I do not know Russian, so I can't really like fully tune into your channel, and dive into it per se.
you didn't pay much attention to that, because there are two versions of each video, English and Russian, every
Ooh,
day.
that's weird. I checked it. You know what it was though? As soon as I saw the characters, I clicked on the cool character titles, I guess, and they were all in Russian. So I was just like, ah.
Just
But
go to the channel. There is like two playlists, one in English, one in
oh,
Russian,
cool.
and
I
there are
will
like,
put the English playlist link in the description box below
that
for
would be great.
sure. Yeah,
That would be great.
absolutely, man. So
Or
what's
just the
like
whole
the
video.
goal of it? Like, are you looking more for like trading, technical analysis? Are you looking more at like projects and tech companies and stuff like that? Are you looking more at like Bitcoin, altcoins? What's the overall demographic of what you cover and where you're going with your channel?
Actually, initially I was going just to make sort of the major tutorial to crypto, but then I realized that I've started to do that, but then I realized that all the people who still left in crypto after this crash, they already know all of that, so they need more experienced kind of like more advanced content. So maybe I will return to this topic eventually when more newbies will appear in the space. But so far, I'm just at the moment, at least, like during the recent 2 3 months, I'm covering mostly Bitcoin and what is happening, because it's the major thing. Despite what can you do with altcoins, with like partnerships or development, whatever, you will not get any kind of advantages comparing to the major space if Bitcoin will go down. So, and most of the people are interested in price. Some of them are interested in tech. So I try to cover both first, probably like major thing is what is happening with the price. Where can we go and why, both technically and fundamentally. Cover some news and of course some interesting altcoins which I look at. I did a couple of reviews. I'm starting to look at more coins when I will have time. It's absolutely crazy because I have like 15 minutes each video for 2 languages, so it's like half an hour every day. I need to like edit it and record and everything, so it takes like a fair amount of time of my life, and also I have full-time jobs, so it's not so much for making reviews, but I really am looking to it, and I will do it, I promise. So my subscribers, if you're watching that, I will do that.
Yeah, man,
Eventually.
that's a lot of work that you're putting in. I mean, to do two videos on the same thing in 2 different languages. I mean, that's a lot, dude. You know,
Thanks,
you know,
I'm trying.
you said you have a degree in physics, right?
Right, yeah.
Right.
Physics and mathematics.
Do you look at mining with any kind of perspective on the physics of the electrical consumption?
Absolutely. I tweeted a lot. Well, not that a lot, but I had like a fair amount of tweets about that. There are actually a few articles about the impact from the mining in terms of the climate changes and global, how to call that?
Global warming?
Well, global warming, thank you. So, in fact, this is really overestimated effect, in my opinion, and the opinion of a lot of people, because first, if you will consider, for example, the amount of the heating effect or energy consumption from the general areas of human life, like even finances, do you think that Visa transactions and Visa operations, system operation in general would cost less energy? Come on, no. If you will include every middleman which is in this chain, you would have like, I don't know, actually I've calculated it. I think it was like factor of 3 more than the current expenses in terms of the energy for Bitcoin, or like in general mining.
Right. That's
So
kind of what I say when people argue about, like, you know, Bitcoin mining being so consuming of, you know, of resources. I'm like, well, I mean, the real problem that you have is Bitcoin's resource consumption can be measured, and we know exactly how much, you know, of these
absolutely.
resources we are consuming, which, you know, kind of adds to the value of the resource that, you know. Yeah, but the problem is we can't measure how much electricity the U.S. dollar causes just to send one from A to B, or to hand you a paper dollar, how much electricity that consumption was behind it. So, you know, that's the real problem. You know, it's unmeasurable consumption on the traditional, you know, money transfer systems.
If you'll also think about like how much trees do you cut with your like making paper money and everything, it will be just like a snowball. You'll have a lot of the things which you waste basically when you use the traditional system. But in terms of the adding value, as you mentioned, this is like one of the most important, like crucial thing in crypto and Bitcoin in general, because people don't understand that in order to make something valuable, you need to put something to that. And in terms of Bitcoin in particular, this is first the security. You need to have the most secure level as you can, and the more resources you spend to do that, the more secure you will have the network. And for example, with gold, you need to mine it, right? Yep. You still need to spend resources. And it's also like a lot of pollution and chemical things and everything. But still, here it's just like using energy. You can use, I don't know, solar energy or wind energy, and a lot of people are doing that already. So it's not that huge in terms of like wasting resources. Global warming, like when you heat up your planet, that might be partially true, but you see, comparing to all the rest of activities of humanity, it's nothing. Although, on the other hand, the finances, if Bitcoin will be able to improve the financial system, it's the crucial thing to development of our society. So it's worth doing that, worth pushing that.
Yep.
So I think it's no-brainer.
Yeah, as you noted, it's worth it, and that's what incentivizes solutions to potential problems before they even
Also,
exist, like
yep.
renewable resource for cleaner energy,
Hmm.
ways to transmit larger amounts of electricity over longer distances, which isn't really
Hmm.
something that's a problem right now. But they'll solve it when it is because it'll be worthwhile to get that dedicated power to a mining facility X amount of miles away from the actual generator. A lot of people like to be right next to the dams, or you have a lot of miners that are close to these suppliers because a lot of electricity is lost before it even hits the
Yeah,
main line. So
yeah,
like it's not like they're using any resources that affects the local community when these mining facilities open up. They're actually using electricity that's mostly lost along the lines before it even hits residential power lines.
exactly, exactly. Yeah.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of these topics that we have here, like
Okay.
one of the most controversial, or some of the controversial things about cryptocurrencies. I would think that a lot of the controversy does stem from the KYC aspect, where you don't have to have an identification, and criminals or children can use this, and is that something we should regulate, and how do we regulate something that's decentralized and permissionless? And I think that's the most controversial part from my perspective, is people
Okay.
worrying about having too much freedom with their money and being dumb enough to get taken advantage of and losing it all. And yeah, and then being a burden
That's
on the system, right? Because if you lost your money, now you have to go to welfare, and you're a burden on the system because you lost your private keys, or you got
yeah.
BitConnect or something. So I don't know. Like, what do you see? Like some of the
Did you buy?
controversy.
Did you buy some BitConnect
I
before
did a
now?
video and I
Oh,
tracked.
oh, I didn't look at
I
it.
bought
Didn't watch it.
I bought some Bitcoin. I put same amount of Bitcoin in a wallet. I put the same amount of Bitcoin into BitConnect, and I literally showed people how I lost thousands of dollars by not
Oh,
just holding Bitcoin, because Bitcoin went up way more than 40% a month. That's a given. And
yeah, yeah.
Bitcoin also forked about 4 or 5 times before BitConnect finally exited. So I didn't get
Mm.
Bitcoin Cash, Gold, Diamond, Private, none of these. So when I did the math, I lost thousands of dollars making 40% a month. So I was like, it
Yeah,
was a total scam to begin with, unless
yeah, absolutely.
unless Bitcoin were to go down. But as soon as Bitcoin did, obviously it was a scam. It couldn't, exist. So either way, it wasn't a hedge. It was a scam. So I did make videos kind of tracking the losses there. Again, that is actually a lot of controversy in the space for sure.
But
But
actually, if you buy the at the very bottom for the BitConnect, of course it's a scam, but still, if you'll buy the very bottom and sell at the very top, you'll have, I think, 3,000x return on
whoa,
your investment. It's amazing.
I feel like
Like put
Bitcoin
a
did the
hundred
same thing
bucks
though in the same time. If
Yeah,
you'd have
but
just
this was
held
like
it.
9 month and months for the BitConnect, and for Bitcoin it's like few years. But yeah, you're right, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, with the
Still
risk,
funny.
who
Ah,
Satoshi
yeah,
Nakamoto isn't holding my private keys. he
that's
let me
true.
he let me hold them, and all that. So,
So
what are
yeah,
like some of the controversy that you've seen in the space that kind of caught your attention this year? Anything that you have on mind?
KYC issues are definitely an anti-money laundering
Shapeshift,
is a thing.
shapeshift.
Yeah, is a thing. Yeah, absolutely. Like, how much shall you give your freedom to the government and to regulators is the important issue. And like, for example, this accredited investors thing. Like now,
That's
I'm not sure, but
bullshit.
like a lot of the project you can't go into unless you have like $1 million in your account, and like every like yearly income for like, I don't know, $250,000, something like this, which is ridiculous. A lot of
Yeah.
people are talking about it.
Oh, I'm
Like,
sorry. Do you want to invest in an ICO that's insured and regulated? Okay, you better be accredited. Like, get the fuck.
exactly,
Where were you
exactly.
last year, you fuckers?
Yeah, yes. Actually, like they allow you to go to casino and waste of all your money,
Dude,
and
I
they
can
don't
go to
allow you to.
McDonald's and buy 1,000 Big Macs and shove them
Yeah,
down my throat in 1 hour and die of a heart attack.
absolutely.
Nobody's there to regulate that and protect
Yes,
me.
yes. Actually, I've heard like a reasonable opinion about that on one of the past podcasts. I think it was On Chain, maybe podcast, or no, no, it was Bad Crypto podcast. You know about them, right?
Oh, yeah, no, I know though.
Yeah.
Travis and Joel.
So yeah, yeah. So there was a guy, I think, a lawyer, not a lawyer. Anyway, he was saying, I don't remember who was him, who was his what his name, but he was saying that for the government and United States government in particular, they don't really care how much money you will lose or whether you will like buy your Lamborghini for which you can't afford to have and have a loan and everything, and they don't care. What they do care is that the market in general, their stocks and everything in the United States is one of the most regulated market in the world. And if people are entering this market, they think that it is sort of more or less safe if they invest their money. They know that there shouldn't be any kind of scam or manipulation, if you know.
Yeah, I feel like it's funny, right? The more regulation, people feel like there's less manipulation when it's mostly the opposite.
Yeah, although we know the cases like even this gold market recently, there was a lawsuit about.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yep.
Yeah, so and we just know about this particular case, and how many cases we don't know. I guess like 99%, like an iceberg as usual.
Yeah, this is exactly an iceberg announcement. Same thing with Wells Fargo when they got caught opening bank accounts without permission for their customers and charging them the fees for doing it.
Exactly. Iceberg. So anyway, that guy is saying that okay, we want this to be regulated, to be more safe, so to have the reputation of the market as a safe place. And this is a sort of a fair point. But first of all, if you're doing such regulations, then you need to do it everywhere, right? And in every space, like not only the stock market. And second thing is that still you are allowing. It doesn't cancel the argument about the threshold to enter. You're not allowing even small people to enter this market. If it is already regulated and safe, why don't you let everybody to get in, right? So I don't have the answer for this question. But speaking about the most controversial thing, which you brought up, I like another podcast from Anthony Pompliano, which of course you know about, right? And his question to a lot of I think all of the guests, one of the questions is, what is the most controversial thing in crypto you think of? So I think it's really a great question. So like a lot of people will disagree with you. So maybe I wasn't clear about we were writing our agenda. So what is the most controversial? I will be Anthony Pompliano for you today. What is the most controversial thing in crypto which you believe in and like most of the people will disagree about?
That I agree with.
Yeah, which you like believe in.
Most controversial thing I believe in.
You can cut this from the
no. Let's leave this here, man. The most controversial thing I believe in is the freedom to participate in blatant scams or dumb shit. Like, I feel like people should have the complete freedom to Darwinism themselves out of the financial industry, right? Like, if people do want to throw money into BitConnect, they should be... Right, they should be completely legally allowed to do so, right? Like, I get it that suicide is illegal, you know what I mean? I get it, you can't kill yourself, that's a law, you can't do it, you're not allowed, I get it. But this isn't, whatever, like, you shouldn't, this is, I don't know, this is a life lesson that people are being left out of, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you should learn how to, at least you should have the ability to learn how to take chances and risk with your money for financial gain outside of a casino and a scratch off. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly, absolutely. Like even these losses for a lot of the people, why basically people are coming to the crypto? Like, of course, there are a lot of scammers. There are a lot of people who are just seeing it on TV and thought, oh, I need to go to that. But a lot of people are actually having their money on their bank accounts, and they see that with years this money is getting melt, and they thought, okay, I need to save it somehow, and they start to investigate how do you invest, what instruments you have and tools, and then they stumble over the crypto thing, and they that's cool, and they of course they lost, but it's a learning curve. Yeah, a lot of things they learn from that.
And if they can't participate, they never hit that curve. They never learn. Exactly. Man. It
exactly.
sucks. And
Without
that's
the
like what I like the
opportunity.
scams for. So that's the controversial thing. I like scams in crypto because they have a marketing department, they got funding, they got resources, they got they got customer support. Holy shit, they got customer support. Bitcoin ain't got no customer support. What's the fucking call number? Give me the 1-800 number for Bitcoin support. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
it's like a Trojan
Absolutely.
horse of a kick in the ass. Like, oh, you want to do some dumb shit with your money because you want to, get rich quick scheme? Well, this is what's going to happen. But luckily, when you lose that money, it's like paying to go to college. You just learned a valuable lesson. Don't do that dumb shit. But this is the real stuff. Now you know about crypto. You understand how blockchain projects really work, and now you know what to look for. You have a better idea of how to do your own due diligence. So
Mhm.
I think it's a important role that these malicious, companies and projects play. I don't want people to do it. It's not like I'm like, oh, go, sign up for BitConnect, but I'm like, look, if you need that life lesson, maybe you should ride a bike
Absolutely.
without a helmet until you learn that you know how to ride a bike, or maybe just wear a damn helmet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, the most valuable lessons, I know this is a sort of cliche, but the most valuable lessons in trading, in particular, investing in crypto, I had when I lost. So,
Yeah.
like, I FOMO'd into some coin which I thought is awesome, and then it ended up to be a sort of a pump and dump scheme.
Bitcoin
And I
Cash,
thought,
right? Yeah, man,
okay,
it was such a.
maybe I didn't invest in Bitcoin Cash, by the way. I didn't hold any of Bitcoin Cash. Anyway, but yeah, okay. About the most controversial thing in crypto, it's not my own thought, but still I want to raise this question because it's more fundamental. Because I think not so many people are talking about that. Maybe they did before when I wasn't in the space, but I couldn't find it that much data about this at the moment. So um, we now are in the sort of a sentiment in the idea that Bitcoin was made by some anonymous people or group of people or person who would like the purpose to that is to make the free transaction between peers without, like, at least not eliminating completely, but just reducing the impact from a middleman. So people will be free, they can hold their money by themselves, let's crush banks and revolutionize and everything. And like for people, right? Not for the fat cats, but for regular people. And now I would ask you a question, and I would love to hear your opinion. Can you end up come up with any kind of example in history of humanity when something as huge as Bitcoin was made to the good for the regular people?
The printing press. The printing press was a revolutionary invention that gave people the freedom to mass produce information faster than it could be subjectified to censorship. So, Bibles and
Counter
shit like
argument.
that. But the steam engine was pretty revolutionary. It empowered the small time industry person to have as much wealth and value as a king. Eventually, small companies had more value than small nations. So it was a paradigm shift. But I think Bitcoin's blockchain is like the third thing, like from the printing press, the steam engine to the blockchain.
So let me talk from the opinion of the people who are against this notation. For example, press. Yeah, yeah. Maybe the idea wasn't that bad, and indeed, like a free speech and everything. But what do you see now? And actually, what you started to see from a long time ago. Now, the media started to be used as just the manipulation for the opinion of the masses. And I think a lot of the companies from even the time of the invention of the press were like, oh, they were like collected together and said, what if we can make a huge for like source of information for a lot of people, and we can tell them everything which we want, and then they will think what we want, and yeah, they will we can cover that with the idea of the free speech and that sort of thing. About the steam engine, or this sort of it's still everything is everything is part of the technological progress. It's not a part of the social progress, in my opinion, or not particular, but anyway. So for the steam engine, again, yeah, it's great, but it mostly bring the wealth to people who already had the wealth. And for the regular people, yeah, we can use like steam engines and we can make our life easier, but not because of they want us to have that, but just because it would give them additional profit, additional gains. So, and you can come up with such an argument basically on, I think, in every kind of the like step in the progress in humanity. So why I'm saying about this is that if it is true, then just imagine how huge would be the impact from the blockchain and Bitcoin in particular, because it is financial sphere. So if I don't know if you're familiar with the question, but with the gold standard, which has like, I don't know, at least 200 years history, we had it with many fiat currencies, like starting from I think Deutsche Mark, German Mark, and I think even French franc, and what it was, the Sweden franc as well, and Russian ruble, and finally even United States dollars. Do you know what's the problem with golden standard? Do you know?
Not, I mean,
No,
gold's
the
volatile,
problem.
so you can't really.
Not that. The problem with golden standard is that in a current paradigm of our economy, you would have to make growth of your capital into, like if you have a country and you have a fiat currency within the country, this currency is basically serving the sort of a bloodstream of the economy within the country. So you supply this means to provide the trading and basically everything
Right.
which you need to do with your economy. So if somebody has the gold, which is not your fiat currency, but your fiat currency is pegged with gold, that means that if you don't have enough gold in your own country to provide this growth of the fiat volume, then you'd have to take a loan of the gold, because you can't take a loan from anything else, because your gold is back to your fiat currency. So where can you take a loan from? Probably from the people who have a lot of the gold. I don't want to put my tinfoil hat on my head, but like everybody is saying, look, Rockefellers and Rothschilds and Rothschilds and everybody would have like huge amount of gold, and now Chinese billionaires also. So you have to take those loans, and then eventually, since you have to have more increase in the growth of it's the capitalism, it's the normal thing now. So in order to have the more growth, you'd have to take more loans, because you can't give it back, because again you would have your currency pegged to the gold.
Right.
But gold is actually finite and your currency is not.
Right, so you'd
you
have to be
always,
getting more and more gold as you keep making
yeah,
more and more fiat,
yeah,
and it's not sustainable.
exactly. And if you look at the examples in the history about that, every time you have the gold standard with the fiat currency, it failed eventually with a huge crisis of the country which was dealing with this issue. And this thing with the United States, it wasn't a crisis, but still they say, no, guys, thank you. And they started to have a new paradigm of like floating floating rates for the currencies and everything. So they canceled it basically when the De Gaulle brought this ship with a lot of the fiat dollars, and they say, please give us our dollars. And now Deutsche Bank, I think, actually wants to get their gold from United States and say, wait, no, we will not give you that fast. So a lot of things with that. And Bitcoin in general is very similar to gold for that matter. So golden standard didn't work for this purpose, because a lot of the countries and leaders understand this issue already because of the history. But now we have a Bitcoin, but it's positioned as something revolutionizing the finances and giving freedom to regular people. So it's really something like really positive thing, right? So when you allowing Bitcoin to be traded to your currency within your country, it means that you allowing the foreign capital, or not just the foreign capital, but just some capital which is not regulated, but by your administration, by your like president or White House, whatever you have in your country. So it's not regulated, it's not controlled by no one. So they can, in some way, they can manipulate your economy. And of course, to some cases like Argentina, Venezuela, or even Turkey or something, when they have the huge drop of their currency rate recently, of course, it's a savior for regular people. But in general, those crises they don't happen because of the, well, they, of course, a lot of the problems with the governments themselves, but also it's the general way of evolution of our financial system, of our economy, like worldwide. We have to have bubbles with the capitalistic model, because it should be expanded, it should find new markets, and when there is no new markets, if we don't go to the moon or Mars or Venus, where we have another people or aliens which could buy our goods, we would have to burst our bubble or somehow burn the debt in order to make a new cycle. So this effect eventually into such type of crises which happen in these small countries, well, not small, but still like this type of countries which have them. So when you have Bitcoin, at one side, yeah, you can say that it helps people because they can save their money when they have the Bitcoin instead of the Bolivar or whatever, and then they can return back with a much bigger buying value for this Bitcoin comparing to the fiat currency that they have in their country. But on the other hand, this is not the way how the country comes out from the crisis. It actually makes the country crisis even deeper, and it allows people who have the majority of the Bitcoin to manipulate the economics of the particular countries in this situation. So if we assume that actually, for example, right now, from the time when Bitcoin was $20,000, and each and everyone and their grandmother and their dog bought some Bitcoin, or even I've seen a video on YouTube. The guy actually, I think he bought some BitConnect for all his savings. And
yes, I saw that.
30,000 grants, and now
poor bastard.
Yeah, many of them like that, and it's just BitConnect. But a lot of people invest in Bitcoin because they thought that it's more reliable. So still, now they lost, and a lot of people sold. I didn't understand actually why people are selling on the loss, because if you
they put money in that they couldn't afford to live without. That's why.
That's
long-term investments like this kind of speculative technology requires you to only put in money you can already live without. If it goes down 90%, who gives a shit? It was money you didn't already. Who cares? I don't care. You know, you got to care more about having, like, you know, the Bitcoin, like people who buy Beanie Babies because they're cute. You know, don't buy them because they're an investment. But hey, shit, if it goes up because it's a Princess Diana Beanie Baby, good for you. But you know what I mean? Like, you have to believe in it. You have to like it. You know, it's money spent. Like, I try to tell people, I'm not really investing in Bitcoin. I'm just buying Bitcoin. I'm trading US dollar for Bitcoin. Like, I choose to use it. That's all. Like, and hopefully it's volatile in my favor. But there's only one volatility direction that the US dollar is going, and it is downward. There's no opportunity for me to hold my value in the US dollar. Nowhere can I store my value in US dollar and protect myself from inflation. There is no opportunity for me. It doesn't exist. The friction in the transactions of getting in and out of those avenues that may exist for me, it's so ineffective. It's discouraging. You know, why would I go in and out of precious metals for a saving stability if I don't use six figures with the way that these markets move 1% to 2%, and with the transaction fees and the taxes involved? It doesn't make any sense for anybody in, you know, middle to lower class to, you know, have and hold their money in US dollar. It doesn't make any sense. But we are manipulated, programmed into thinking that the right thing to do is to have a bank account, get a savings account, put your money away for a rainy day. And you hear this your whole life, you know, it can't be wrong. It seems dumb not to, because the people you looked up to your whole life were programmed too to do dumb shit with their money.
Exactly, exactly. You can extend it even more. Like even if you try to dig into this question, like try to find the ways to save your money, that you start to realize that okay, if I will invest in gold, then can go down, silver can go down, everything could go down. So I need to have sort of very well balanced portfolio
Yes.
of different assets, and then I need to spend enormous amount of time to actually understand this all these things, how do they work and how the market cycles work and what is the
Gonna
fundamentals
say
and what's the
corresponding market cycles, baby. What goes
yeah,
down
but
makes what go up, so you can diversify and hedge.
yeah, but eventually you ended up with, since you're not a professional investor, you ended up with the condition that in the state when you basically thought that okay, my portfolio is balanced, and probably if these things will go down, these things will go
Right.
up. But mostly in the market, 99% people have to lose their money, and that those are not the wealthiest people. Those are you, which you have like a very thin, small amount of the total capitalization overall of the overall market. So even those people who try to like make their positions as safe as possible, they have to either lose their money or lose just a little, and then they got desperate, they try to go all in and they lose everything. It doesn't happen always, but it's happened very often. So the same thing as we just talked about Bitcoin, the same thing basically happened with Bitcoin, but just exaggerated in an exaggerated manner. And people, you're absolutely right, just they couldn't afford to lose this money. They wanted to like have some profit at least within a few months or maybe a year, but eventually ended up they can't, and they are happy to at least say, but they're not happy, but they have to like pay their loans or create whatever. So they have to go with their 10% of the initial investment, which is awful, but they have to. So especially they invest in altcoins, it's not 10%, it's like 1 or 2%. My goodness.
So you
And
bring up
I
altcoins, man. I wanted to see what your perspective is on the future of this space. Where do you see, you know, bitcoins versus altcoins versus fiat, you know, that whole thing? Where do you see this space going moving forward? We have the ETFs coming up. We have futures already rolled out. What do we got coming up, man? Coinbase just announced that they have a OTC market for
OTC, right?
institutional investors to roll in all their bajillions of, you know, funny money, monopoly US dollars and fiat and stuff. So like, where do you see the future of this space going? Do you see it particularly being manipulable from the institutional end, or is this an opportune, you know, for us all? Should we be, hooray, institutional money, everybody wanted it, you know, now we're gonna get it and see what happens?
Yeah, there's two sides of at least two sides of that
Yeah, it's the
question.
OTC and the exchange side.
I mean, the two opinions about that. So first, of course, if we'll have, I believe we have like a few more bubbles in history, not only in Bitcoin but also altcoins, because I sort of, even the whole 2018, there was a lot of development, a lot of partnerships, despite of the drop in price. So I can't believe that if it will go that low within 10 years, like it will go to zero or $1 or whatever, it has no future. If it is true, then I can't just imagine that all those people who are very smart, who don't make mistakes in such huge steps, and a lot of the intellectual capital who is invested, like a lot of people are actually quit their jobs in standard finances and they started to work in crypto. I can't believe that they all wrong, and all that capital will be just washed out to like the manipulators and people who
Yeah,
just try to
Goldman
make a quick
Sachs
buck.
didn't drop $350 million
Exactly.
on Poloniex for nothing, boy.
Exactly. No, they can actually say that, okay, we have the interest from traders. We can sell shovels when they want that,
They
but
just want the
not
trading
not
data so they
only.
can trade against the users, and that's what I saw. Like as soon as I saw them buy Poloniex, I'm like, they're just gonna trade against everybody, dude. They know your sell
Yeah,
order, you
yeah,
fool. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
exactly. Yes, but still, in general, I think that we need we definitely will have the wave of the more not maybe the biggest, but I think it will be biggest, but maybe not exactly the biggest institutional capital will come into the space. And the thing is, in order to make them money, they need to bring another capital to the table. And another capital is either retailers, as we are, but we're really pretty much exhausted unless the whole like 90% of the people will invest in Bitcoin and crypto, which is actually possible. And I see another bubble, one of the bubbles on the way of history of Bitcoin will happen with that. But another source of the capital is sort of a smaller institutions, which will start to FOMO in because their risk tolerance is higher. So they start FOMO in even before the like Goldman Sachs or Schwab or whatever, especially if they see such like fidelities in and everything.
Oh,
so they start to
what is it?
FOMO in.
MasterCard just filed and got clearance, got approved for a patent for payment processing.
It was a long time ago. Not only MasterCard, I think. Yeah.
And I know other cards have done it, but I just saw MasterCard doing this stuff, and I was like, it's about time, MasterCard. Yeah, like you said, these companies aren't putting themselves into positions to use something that's dead in a tulip bubble.
Exactly. Well, so this capital will serve another bubble perfectly, and as soon as it will happen, then those huge people, huge firms, huge investment institutions, they could get profit from that. But without that, it's impossible. So I think that when we have the sort of manipulation of the price, first, on the one side, it is FUD, when people were taught from the screen of their TV that,
MSNBC, fast money, cough, cough.
I will not call names.
Oh, they know I'm talking to them. They know MSNBC, fast money.
Yeah, they're funny. Actually, they were bringing like the Demirors. She's pretty cool and she's stating right things, but of course she's a crypto enthusiast and educated person. But yeah, so first we have this FUD, and on the other side, when we have all those institutions already settled into the game, they will turn this idea to the sentiment narrative upside down, and they start to say, oh, it helps to like financial system, we can save money in the transaction and yada yada yada. Eventually people start to think, oh, if those huge people are talking positively on Bitcoin, actually, have you seen any kind of the FUD recent months from even like the biggest like Buffett or somebody? They were continuing to silently stating the same, having the same standpoint on that, but they don't say anymore like this is a red poison square or something, because they don't need to, because people are already scared. But then this will be the point when they will change their
the narrative,
narrative upside down, and then the small institutions will start to think, okay, if they're saying that, then we are sort of safe to that.
Right, they got to get everybody out that's in now, make the real bottom, push it as far down as they can with their weight, and then they buy it early because they don't want to make anybody else rich. They have to be the most profitable investors, these institutional money. I mean, that's what the OTC market's really all about. It's to protect the small investors from high volatility. How about no, it's not. It's so these institutions can roll in millions on the back end, but individually be investing their own money in. So when it does reflect eventually, they got their money in at the price. They didn't inflate the price. So you have a company put millions of dollars into Bitcoin. Well, next month it's going to go up because they did a large investment. So when they go to reinvest, it went up because they bought it. So they caused themselves to lose money basically on their next investment. So they do it silently, individually, and then as a collective, large OTC trades, and that's where like the manipulation really comes from, and the suppression. And while they can, but I don't think it's gonna last much longer. I feel like at the ease of the on ramps, how easy it is now than ever to get $5 into Bitcoin. Like, dude, come on. Like, let's do this. Let's see who wins. There's more of us than there are of them. They're 1%ers. You know what I mean?
But we're out of our fiat to buy more.
Yeah, but then we earn it. Right? We opt out of earning fiat. We earned Bitcoin. We opt into bartering with Bitcoin, and we choose to ignore that currency and its value in general. That's when one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin, and that is the belief
Exactly.
system that we all have to join. I mean, that's like, I mean, the law requires us to believe in the U.S. dollar. Holy shit, dude! Just think
This is
about
called
that.
trust. This is what you
Uh,
call trust when
Trust
traditional
at
system.
gunpoint. Yeah, that feels real comfortable.
But the second, like the opposite opinion about that is that currently we have like max 21 millions of bitcoins, and of course there's some lost and everything. But it's fair to notice that we actually may have a lot of derivatives in like the if Wall Street will come to the crypto space, they already have futures.
Yep.
They will have like tons of the next level derivatives on the top, and this is the way how they can clone bitcoins. And then they will have like the fractional reserve system. They will have like 10 bitcoins for each bitcoin which you have physically existing. And then eventually people we may actually fall in this pitfall, and they would say, oh, why I need to buy physical bitcoin? I may lost my private key. I will better to go to some broker dealers and I just buy the ETF or whatever and hold this contract. But then eventually this will make a bubble bigger. But at the same time, since it will trade not the physical bitcoin but the paper bitcoin, it will not make any value. It will not bring any scarcity for bitcoin. It diluted quite a lot.
Yep.
So we need to, I don't know, we cannot prevent that. So at first, on the other hand, we need this capital to come, but it will not come without without this way
Well,
to
that's
manipulate it.
that's the problem that's going to occur regardless of the traditional or that whatever they're moving in. They're going to realize not your keys, not your Bitcoin,
Yep,
when they are overselling more than they have in their reserve of Bitcoin to their investors. When those 9 out of 10 people want their paper Bitcoin in Bitcoin form or cash out, there isn't enough for them to give. I mean, hey, sorry, they're gonna start having we only do this amount a day withdrawals, and you have to give us advance notice if you want this amount. And that's where it all. And I'm thinking, it would be really funny if it comes out that like people like Coinbase have been doing stuff like this, because I would like what. Who regulates and audits Coinbase? Like, I'm wondering who checks to make sure that they have the set amount of Bitcoin, in cold storage and hot wallets to be able to, liquidate everything people have. If every single customer
exactly,
of Coinbase
exactly.
wants their Bitcoin off of Coinbase, can they do it?
It's like how the loans in general works in the traditional markets, and probably there are actually some new companies in crypto which try to do the same thing. For example, when you are trying to bet against the market, and they have like, for example, certain token which you can use to have the a loan for collateralized by crypto, and then some people are going short, some people are going long. But then you don't need basically to have the full amount of tokens backing those operations. You would have, since price will go either up or down, you need to have only a half, right? And again, as you said, not all people will take it back, so they can actually have a fractional reserving of that. There is no guarantee that Coinbase have that, or Binance, or whatever. And now we see this increased fees for the withdrawals in Bitfinex. So why do they do that? My goodness, 3%. It's basically the same, which is tethered to USD dollar difference. Any suspicious things? Come on. So we don't really know. In
Yeah, when
fact,
I
it's
saw that, when I saw the fees go up on stuff like that, I start to think insolvency. I know that's paranoia. I don't want to be causing
yeah,
FUD. You know what I mean? No FUD here. It's just like, yo, it's
that's
speculation,
true.
man. We got to
That's true.
speculate. Stay skeptical. Like
Stay skeptical.
I'm not
Exactly,
I'm not
exactly.
I'm not 100% a fanboy of Binance. I use it, but I mean, hey, dude, what's up? Do you guys really hold all these coins that
Hmm.
I'm shown that I have? Like, if we all sweep our keys off of Binance, can they give up all of it, or do they have to freeze accounts and start moving money around and raise their fees so they can earn back the money they owe people?
Yeah, yeah. It's not absolutely not clear. So I would
It will
guess
be.
if you
It
don't.
will be.
if you don't have like a general advice for everybody, and for like it's quite reasonable, if you don't have this to be actively traded, then you better to just store your Bitcoin or altcoins, whatever you have, on your cold wallet, and you will be safe and free. Just don't lose your and send nobody your private keys. That's it. That's the idea of crypto, and please use it because it's a great advantage. So I think that's it. But speaking about the altcoins, which you mentioned, like what's the future of altcoins? I like the saying that a lot of Bitcoin, like most of Bitcoin maximalists, are sort of shitcoiners, and most of the altcoin maximalists are actually Bitcoin maximalists. So like they use altcoins to trade to get more Bitcoin, and vice
Yes.
versa. So I don't know, in my opinion, a lot of the great ideas there in the space, and there are like nice projects with high potential. It's very early. I think it's too early to happen, because if it happened like 10 years later, then people would appreciate it much more, and they will, I guess. But at the moment, it's just too much, too early to humanity to start with, to work with that. And it's because of the internet, because of the information is so easily to be spreaded between people these days. It's just too fast. We're not ready, so it should be a bit slower. Every kind of idea is picked up so quickly that it's just don't have a chance to evolve properly. But still, I think like if it is a good idea, there is no reason it to die. I mean, it may have some problems with like temporal ones, when you have the market is down or something, or somebody is making some fraudulent activity. But eventually, still, like if it is I don't know, for example, for side chain, for how to call this, the chains of product chains, it works. Or medical how to call it again, medical libraries or something. It also works. Every kind of the databases, for example, when you need a higher security, which can be solved by blockchain, can be put on the altcoin basis. It will work. It may have a problem now. We may lose like 99% of investment if we'll buy this altcoin, especially on the ICO. But eventually, it's not clear whether we will return that. But it doesn't mean that the industry itself will die. So I think it has future.
So
I'm
do you
optimistic.
think the future maybe with like utility tokens and things like that, or do you think like utility tokens are too cumbersome? Like what's your perspective on like the future
This
of altcoins as a
lemonade
utility?
video.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
this
The
one.
fucking lemonade video, man. It's so real, dude. But it's that is perspectively uh you know debatable. Like yeah,
Yeah,
there's dumb uses for gift cards, right? Like why would I buy a gift card that's only accepted at Amazon, or not Amazon, Barnes and Noble, when
yeah,
Barnes and Noble only has books, when I can get the same gift card for Amazon that sells books and milk and other shit like t-shirts. Like make it make
exactly.
sense as a utility token rather than like a Chuck E. Cheese token. It's got to have more use and incentive. But it's really, I see utility tokens not for the benefit of the company, but for the benefit of the end user. So these companies have to figure out how to use these technologies for fighting for our favoritism. Like they're gonna have to compete with the best customer experiences, the best customer incentives, gamify shopping experiences, and storing your value in their network. Like having a gift card to a store like McDonald's. Well, what incentive are they giving you to keep that money in that gift card when you could just have it in a bank account? Like make sense
That's
out
true.
of that. Why would you
Yeah,
lock your money in one network where you only have one utility token for one utility? I think we're going to see a lot of these partner up where there's going to be like one utility token that kind of rules them all in like an industry, say like the sex work industry for adult content. The gambling industry may have a gambling utility
hmm,
token as a foundational layer, things like that. Like
gaming.
yeah, exactly, gaming. Where do you see the future aspect of like utility tokens as a means of currency? Is it something that you can see over Bitcoin, or is Bitcoin the better currency than these utility tokens?
I think I would hold with some kind of conservative approach here, with a little, not exactly in everything, but for the utility, since I believe it has great potential. At least it can, in a lot of the areas, in a lot of the cases, it can optimize the current system, and that means that they will exist, right? It not necessarily you need to put everything on the blockchain and use utility tokens for everything which you have in the world, but there are a lot of things which you can use. So I think they will definitely flourish. But on the other hand, you say what will be like bigger than Bitcoin or not? If the some certain space is smaller than finances, that will be smaller than Bitcoin. It's not clear though. I don't want to have people hating me saying that, but I'm not excluding the thing that maybe Bitcoin will not be the best or the biggest cryptocurrency eventually. So you may hard fork it, and if all the community or majority of the community would say, we realize that we didn't know that before, or there is some kind of bug in the code,
which will get harder and harder because we'll have more and more people. The more and more people, you have tribal mentality, fighting in different directions of which way to fork, which will happen. Exactly. We'll have more and more forks, which has happened as more and more people get into it.
It's violence. I tweeted once violence. that the Mahatma Gandhi said the violence started from the fork. So the same thing we have here. So what I'm saying is that I'm not sure whether Bitcoin will be the one. It's very likely, most likely to be the one. But if it's not, still there will be some kind of the cryptocurrency, which would occupy the majority of the financial sphere, and that will be bigger than any kind of the utility token. But still, they will exist. Now we have
Visa the same way I see, fiat currency existing with these gift cards. They still exist. You go to Chuck E. Cheese, they still give you Chuck E. Cheese tokens to this very day. They still want to use their own in-house currency for certain situations from friction loss. And I feel like in the future, these, even if Bitcoin does evolve into the perfect blockchain period, utility tokens will serve the purpose of on-ramping these companies into this industry of tokenized economy. Exactly. It's going to be the ease of on-ramping, because Bitcoin's blockchain right now would be bogged down. Like when CryptoKitties launched on Ethereum, if everybody from Amazon to Walmart and everybody started accepting Bitcoin like McDonald's, and of course everybody started using it all at the same time, right now the network couldn't handle that. The transaction fees would go really high, the pending, the block times would take forever. It would just, everything would suck, and people would be like, oh, it doesn't work. Well, yeah, not right now, but that's what I think these utility tokens are for, to take the stress off of Bitcoin's blockchain, let the companies get used to tokenizing their economy, and eventually, test the waters of true decentralized currencies as more people choose to interact with it than their tokenized, utility token in-house thing. I'd much rather go to a arcade that accepts, Bitcoin than when I give them Bitcoin, they give me these weird Chuck E. Cheese tokens that I can't do anything with. It's, if the customers will force the hands of the industry to move forward financially. Same thing that happened with PayPal and Apple Pay and Android Pay, the tap and pay. No business gave a shit about that. Nobody cared. It was like, what? It ain't solving any problems. Oh, wait, the line's gonna, like that commercial where the guy fumbles, get his wallet out because he wasn't. Nobody cares. But people started using it as a fad, and because of the fad, small businesses were incentivized to add tap and pay. That increased, customer, interactions, and it just caught on. The bigger companies started to follow suit. And I think the same exact thing is what's going to happen with these cryptocurrencies or utility tokens in the beginning. Small mom and pop shops, because it doesn't make sense for Walmart. Fuck Walmart. This is not for them. And by the time it is for them, it'll be too late. The playing field will have been leveled.
Absolutely. This is the thing which is continuing to amaze me. In 2017, when everybody were talking about crypto and Bitcoin, how we will revolutionize everything. And indeed, if you will just think about the theory, the potential, and what if you assume that everything of we're talking about can happen, and theoretically it can happen, then you can think, oh, this is actually the future. You can put a lot of the things on the blockchain. It will make everything cheaper, easier, and just the future. Like when you watch, for example, Ready Player One movie, right? So you watch it and think, well, it is possible. Like you can make like this sort of a network and virtual reality. It is possible. Yeah, it's just not available at the moment because of the technical conditions and because people are not ready for that socially. The same thing with crypto and Bitcoin and the blockchain technologies. We potentially can do that. It's just a matter of time. And if it can make it better, theoretically can make profit to the like society in general overall, then it will happen. It's
Yep.
unavoidable. It's like
Oh, it's happening.
the
It
potential
is.
energy should be lower, lower, lower. It's the physics law, right? So yeah, I think it will unavoidably happen. It's just
So
no
it's funny
chance
you
to.
brought that up about digital land and stuff because like Ready Player One, there was a video I was watching on YouTube about like the most expensive digital content ever purchased, and it was over $1 million for a moon in a video game. Now this isn't a
Okay.
blockchain or decentralized. This is a centralized video game with centralized servers and all this. But you know, people do spend six figures or more, up to $1 million on digital real estate. Now,
Yeah.
things like
Yeah.
Decentraland on the Ethereum network have sold land
Hmm.
for pretty decent amount of money as well,
That's
for
true.
not being physical real estate. But if you, me, and a community start to opt into interacting in that digital environment, the people that invested in that real estate will make money off the taxes and interactions. If somebody
Hmm.
rents that digital real estate to build a movie theater, they pay them rent off the money they make from the attendees and of the digital world. It becomes a digital world like we're at right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's happening. I've seen $1 million digital content, even decentralized stuff like Decentraland. So that Ready Player One stuff, it is coming. It's just it's up to the people, right? Like you can't force a fad on. Like I don't know how the fidget spinner took off the way it did,
Hmm.
but it's just society fads, man. Like you can't really say what's a fad. The society just takes
Absolutely.
off on
Yeah.
things. So I'm waiting for that fad to take off, and it's starting to happen with like Twitch and Ninja playing Fortnite and all these
Hmm.
millionaire streamers playing video games, and a lot of kids now are looking at them the way kids used to look at athletes like Michael Jordan,
Dota.
oh my God, dude, yeah, Dota is like, forget the NFL. These kids want to go
Yeah.
to Dota,
Absolutely.
baby. Like that's where the real girls are. That's where the money's at, baby. Like Dota.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the thing.
Come
The
on, they
people,
they
the
won the
future is at.
international with like 11 million dollars. So of course they will like it, and we're playing games and get paid for that. Of course we'll do that.
I do that in crypto. I play some crypto games and I earn
Oh,
crypto.
really?
Yeah. Coin droids. You can play it on the Bitcoin
I
blockchain,
see.
Litecoin, different blockchains, and you can earn crypto fighting your friends. And Dope
And
Raider,
Spank Chain, right? It's not a
Spank
game,
Chain.
but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no,
true.
it's pretty cool, like to earn crypto and play video games, man. But I was talking to people a while back on the podcast about like tokenizing in-game content and
Mhm.
how it totally doesn't make sense for people that are already have a business model that like Fortnite. I don't think they'll ever tokenize their skins. Their business model is having a centralized exchange for their
Mhm.
content. That's how they make money, dude. So
Yeah,
they would never open that up to a decentralized exchange that could hinder, bring down the value and stuff like that of their skins.
yes, exactly.
But that gives the opportunity for a totally new game to come out with a different strategy on how to make revenue without having to depend on that structure, build a totally different dependency structure, so they can start with the gamification and incentivization of monetizing trading of in-game content, right? Like they
Yeah, yeah.
partner, a racing game partners with a fighting game, that fighting game partners with a fishing game, the fishing game partners with a sports game, and
And
now
becomes
you
global.
right, and now if you play this one game the in-game currency you earn is transferable to the other game.
Absolutely.
Or
Yeah.
in-game content. If you have a driver in a racing game, maybe he could wear your suit of armor from the MMORPG game you play.
Exactly.
I mean, this is limitless shit, and it's all yet to be implemented because it doesn't fit the already profitable business models. But that's paradigm shifting shit. Like, that's what we're talking about. Shifting paradigms is giving the disadvantage the advantage, and by the time it makes sense for the people that are already in positions of comfort, the people that are comfortable, they don't evolve, man. They don't. Being uncomfortable is the fastest way to evolve, because you'll grow an extra arm if you really need it. But if you're having people cater to your every need, and you're not really being forced into having to evolve, you die out. You become stagnant. Look at what happened to things like AOL chat rooms and MySpace, even Blockbuster. Social things, we're even starting to have hard times, like bars, because people prefer to do this. They do Netflix and chill over Xbox Live, and they could have 20 friends over without leaving their apartment. I mean, it's the future. So these companies better figure out how to move on forward. So I guess to kind of wrap things up, where do you see everything, right now? Like, is it like we lost a lot of energy in the space from this time last year? A lot of momentum from investors, even from projects that were coming out. Like, we're seeing less and less of new things. It is starting to seem like we're slowing down. What do you think it's going to take? Is it the ETF? Is it the future? Is it this institutional capital what we need to get back to where we were during the last bull run, or is it do we need another? Like, what do you think? Like, what's your perspective on like the gas in this tank? What is missing right now that we used to have? Where's the mojo? I guess, right? Like, we lost our mojo, baby.
Of course, bank chain will
there it is. Mic drop.
Well, I'm 100% sure. I know that I don't know. Well,
hey, at least you don't know. That's a lot more than most of these people that are certain of some shit.
I'm pretty sure that nobody knows, actually, because the space is, in fact, maybe at least I would like to hope that the space is more decentralized than any kind of the space we have right now in the world.
Yep.
So although some people are trying to push it down, some people don't like the idea to lose their power in terms like if there's a traditional institutions, they think that they could be somehow losing their wealth or something if the blockchain, new companies or the new business will come into the space, into the power. So they try to spread FUD or to push them down. But on the other hand, there's a lot of other people, other groups who were trying to push that forward because they see the potential. They try to make money, they try to make business, and some of them even try to help people. So in fact, we don't really know, and we don't know what would be the factor which will make it like rise again. But again, we are talking about either price or fundamentals. It's just forget about price. If you don't see the chart, what do you think about the technology of Bitcoin and crypto? I think it's great.
Yeah,
I think
keeps improving. It's
absolutely
doing great, man. Like you said,
yes.
It keeps improving. We've seen ourselves come from, a fork survival. Where we had to have that fork. We're still here. We're surviving. We progressed into SegWit. We're working on these Lightning channels. Once we have the Lightning network established, we're going to see things like smart contracts, like RSK, Rootstock on Bitcoin's blockchain. Liquid, well. Liquid network, the liquid assets part. Like, that's funny because I have Bitcoin energy drink, which is like liquid assets. Totally funny that was like a thing that happened. But yeah, I mean, Bitcoin keeps on moving on, baby.
And despite we will have soon some kind of Bitcoin ABC free FZ NDTPA eventually, but still it will not ruin up the space, I guess.
Yeah, that's just like so confused. I wish people would just stop acknowledging them, and I feel like it's happening. I've seen a lot of these platforms are starting to delist Bcash. It's just happening,
Well,
no one's using it.
I must say that I don't hold Bitcoin Cash. I don't really stand on any side, either supporters or the opposite ones. But I don't know. They still are in crypto space. They are just competing to Bitcoin to some extent. They're just putting it too aggressively. But the idea, why not to fork it? Like if you have some better thing and a group of people want it, give it to them. Still,
I
if
love
Bitcoin is
how you're
better,
right.
then the
I
majority will be
love how the
there.
crypto community will scream and shout censorship resistance, open source,
Yeah,
decentralization, and then
yeah,
somebody
yeah.
says, "Oh, all that's awesome. I'm forking it." And they go, "No, no, no, don't do that. We don't want that." Like, "Wait, what?" I mean, literally, you're a fucking hypocrite. Like, let people experiment with it. Let them use true, free, open source this. Let them be decentralized. You know, don't try to centralize them to your perspective of BTC, Bitcoin. You know, like let people do what they want, because that's the true fact of decentralization is
Exactly,
opt in
exactly.
or opt out. But you know, to say it's decentralized and open source and censorship resistant while throwing censorship at people that disagree with it, you know, like it's pretty hypocritical. You know, let the space grow, but there is a lot of institutional investor money poking at Bitcoin, trying to make
Yeah,
it do
yeah.
something now. You know, like that get rich quick money, but it's six figure get rich quick money. It's that
Mm-hmm.
suit and tie. I'm waiting for that institutional momentum, and that's where I think the next bull run will come from. Is that
Hopefully,
institutional
yeah,
money when
hopefully.
it does roll in, when there's obvious signs of large institutional capital rolling in through insured, regulated means, like Coinbase just did, backed ICE, all these things that are coming up for institutional capital. Once 100%, like that's a guarantee, money can go in that way. The incentive for these projects to have a finalized project, a working project, not just a white paper, not just a vaporware promise. That's when we're going to see the next bull run, because people have never seen so much productivity than we will be seeing this year coming up. The
Hopefully,
productivity
yes,
will be
yes.
10x what we've seen, because we've only seen white papers, we've only seen promises and hopium, we've only seen ICOs and nothing done with the tokens at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
yeah,
But
yeah.
that's the incentivization for that is gone. There is no more large money getting thrown at these scammy projects. They are forced into creating good projects, and that's what I'm excited about. The institutional money, it's going to incentivize the quality people that survived. We're left with the best of the best right now
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah,
make
yeah.
real projects that are enticing to investors to throw money at. And that's
Yes.
that's the next bull run right there. When the mainstream media doesn't have you know ISIS wallet addresses have been frozen for terrorism type stories to run, and they have real, like, actual shit to talk about, like how Amazon has just now created a one-click blockchain solution. You can
Mm-hmm.
just drag and
Yeah,
drop and
yeah,
build a blockchain. Like, that's what's happening. So when we are at that point, I feel like the mainstream will have no choice, right? Like it will
yeah.
go
Absolutely.
from like that fake story, fake news, FUD, and all that shit to highlighting the productivity in the space, because there's really no productivity to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I was just the last thing which I was going to add about it. I would like to think the same way as you're arguing. The only one thing is that if we are up to seeing some new cycle of bull run or something, we're now again we decided fundamentally it is great, so we're just concerning about the price. So what will happen with the price is that if we would see the rise of the price of Bitcoin and altcoins, then there's still a lot of people who sold quite higher. And you see the capitalization of the Tether, for example, which is amazing. And then all the people who are seeing those signs which you are talking about, like some institutional investors, some huge institutions will start to go into the crypto space and everything, and a lot of positivism and media and everything. So those people who are staying aside will start to also invest. And since a lot of them are not on the OTC but are on the exchanges, they start to push the price of the crypto up. But at the moment, the market is so much developed that you can short it so easily, and also the people are so afraid at the moment again when we see some such fluctuations and such a huge drop. So they are wanting to have a fast profit, although it's not 100x, but it's at least like 50% or something. So those people who were taking profits on these levels will actually continuing to suppress the price low. But in order to overcome this, I think the even bigger capital will come to the space, and they will actually move the price on completely new level. So I'm not that critical about the bet of the McAfee when he said it's like $1 million. I'm not saying it will be 2020, but I don't have any problem to imagining this to be like even more than $1 million for per one Bitcoin, because again you can see it's like 1,000 what it is $1 trillion for derivatives market in now in the world, or around that. It's hard to evaluate, but still, if you'd have just a very tiny thing from that, which would be managed by the crypto, then you can have this 1 million and more easily. So yeah, the new capital should be much bigger than the existing one in order to suppress the bears. But I hope that you're right about the media, which will play a crucial role for that, and we will see that bull run again.
Yeah, hopefully, man. I don't know what else will light that
I'm
fire
tired.
under there,
I'm
but
tired of these bears. I want to see some green in the chart.
I'm trying to see here if I could display it, but it's not working. There we go. I got to drag it onto the screen here. I got a power chat from bitbacker.io. So I got this from Naomi. Hi, I love you. Thank you so much. She said, "This is Satoshi. When Moon, when Lambo."
um, yeah, I shouldn't tell
Oh
that
no,
I'm
it
from
says
Japan, right?
anonymous. It says anonymous. I'm sorry. Just I guess. Well, I mean, obviously the chat, Naomi, it's right there, so it's like being recorded. But her
Okay.
her her power chat was anonymous. I dropped the ball. I'm sorry, but I got $1 in Bitcoin Cash. So thank you for the dollar. And so yeah, that happened. And now I'm embarrassed.
It's so
So
funny.
so yeah, man, I guess to wrap things up, what's your elevator pitch for Bitcoin? You know, like you're wearing a Bitcoin hat or whatever, and somebody's like, "Hey, dude, what's that?" What's your elevator pitch?
Um, by the way, just maybe 2 weeks ago, I was in the event of the in Tokyo about the crypto, and there like people were hiring developers and engineers, and there was like what was it? Omisego and QuantStamp and Bitflyer, like a lot of huge Pandi X, and so there was the boost of the company who is learning teaching people about crypto. So and they were explaining what is the blockchain, what is Bitcoin. So and there was one girl. Apparently, she wasn't in the space. She was just like hired to stand there and give the like papers and everything. So I came and asked, so what's the Bitcoin? What's the blockchain? And she said, well, it's kind of electronic money. so yeah, people just don't know much. Anyway, the elevator pitch for Bitcoin. Um, I don't know. I think that we just need to be more patient. So we were too impatient in 2017 and 2018. So I believe Bitcoin will go like maybe within 2019 to the new level, new all-time high. How do you think?
I think it'll
Because
probably be before the next halvening. I don't think it'll happen after. I feel like the institutional investors will know enough or hire enough, advisors to learn enough about the halvening and the importance that it will have on the issuance to the supply, the circulating supply versus the overall supply versus, coins that have been locked, lost, or stolen, blah, 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 blacklisted, private keys,
right,
etc. I really feel like the scarcity aspect will kick in a new intellectual level. Like we've never seen this level of intellect involved in Bitcoin
exactly. Yeah, what I'm
with
saying
this
too.
means of ability to move in institutional value. So it's a perfect storm of smart people and the ability to move a lot of money with knowledge into the space all at once. We never had at $20,000 all-time high. Bitcoin never had a way to roll in institutional capital like this with the OTC markets. It just didn't have it, right? and it didn't have, these mainstream outlets educating people, maybe sometimes maybe misinforming, but still it's there. The basic education on ramping is there. So we have a lot of education happening and a lot of on ramping, and I think that
That's why I'm doing too.
the happening is what's
I'm
going to do it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think that actually at some point we have so few people are aware of the crypto and Bitcoin. So you can say that, do you know Bitcoin? They say, yeah, we know what Bitcoin is. But in general, most of the population don't know. And you're absolutely right that we're stronger than those institutions, because if we are earning money, if we will put some of them in crypto, in Bitcoin, or whatever you like, then we will suppress the any kind of the manipulation eventually. Just don't let them manipulate. Don't sell on don't panic sell. Don't buy more than you can afford to lose. Then you don't need to lose.
Yeah, and again, that all starts with what you put in. You can't be
Absolutely.
manipulated if you don't start out manipulable. If you're
Yeah.
not putting emotional money into this space, people can't play with your emotional strings and tug on them like
Exactly.
mainstream media.
Exactly.
Like telling people how to buy Ripple at $3.70 and then how to sell Ripple at 45 cents the next week.
You should
Like,
say XRP. Come on.
well, yeah, it is XRP. XRP. It's funny that whatever. I don't even feel like talking about them.
No, you shouldn't. The thing is that, in fact, there is no bad way to that. You can, as you say, as we just talked, we can buy just a little and then go with that and go more and more and more. Or we can go all in. We can take a loan. We can sell our car and we can get wrecked. And that would be the great lesson. And we still will profit from that. So people, I don't want to give bad advice, but just do whatever you want.
Basically
But just
take a second mortgage out on your house, right? Sell your car, give up
absolutely.
your kids, sell them to your neighbors. They probably need like people to help them with like the
Your
lawn.
kidneys
And buy Bitcoin. Yeah, sell your kidneys. You only need one. That's a fact. Get rid of it,
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
everybody knows that the deep web loves Bitcoin. You can sell kidneys for Bitcoin probably on like purse.io. If you want to buy things with Bitcoin, purse.io. Possibly even sell a kidney for Bitcoin. No, but
Exactly.
I feel you. I feel you because like to me, the way I see this, and to me, my views in Bitcoin are political views, not financial, right? Like, so when I throw money into Bitcoin, I'm burning it. I'm throwing a money into the ocean.
Exactly.
Boston Tea
Exactly.
Party kind of thing for me over here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I don't really look too much at the finance as much as I look at like, hey man, I wonder if this could like screw with the banking system a little bit. Let me fuck with them like they fuck with me, and it does. It gives me power to do without them. They're not a monopoly anymore on money transfer. They
exactly.
can't suppress me. So I choose to opt out of that altogether, man. It's something more and more people will do. Like I said, it's a forced belief system, and the more people that choose not to believe in it because they're forced to, and now are awakened to the idea of having the freedom to choose which currency they want, even if it is Doge. If DJ Meat Popsicle wants to accept Doge, yeah, but it's your choice. That's the point, right? Like we can't force people to accept Bitcoin. We can't. Like I said, it's censorship resistant. To say that you have to accept Bitcoin is censoring somebody's free will to deal with current money. Exchange is the same to me as knowledge exchange or whatever, information exchange. So like, I want the freedom to express myself. I want to be able to have a freedom of speech. The same thing I want with my money. That's all. And I understand that there are things put in place to protect people from threats, like, hey, I'm gonna come hurt you, like that's a threat. You can't have freedom of speech and abuse it the same way I don't want people to abuse the freedom of finance. Like, don't fund terrorism, like, duh. But that's again financial Darwinism. Fund terrorism, eventually it ends up at your front door, you dumbass.
Exactly.
People will be incentivized to govern this in a true way because we don't have a real way to govern right now, man. We're like we're being governed by a government that has an agenda and a narrative and forces directions for us to go, which isn't natural. Like, we haven't grown as a society naturally. We've grown very unnaturally, like a kitten in a jar. You know, our limbs are all fucked up because we haven't been able to grow freely, man. We've been, you know, formed like a bonsai tree into the image that this somebody else had. You know, I feel like this technology is opening that jar up, and it's giving us room to grow, and we're getting some elbow room now, and people are going to see what that space really can do. Like, room for activities and shit like Augur, you know, decentralized prediction markets, decentralized exchanges, Steam it, decentralized social media platforms. Like, damn, this elbow room feels good, bro.
Absolutely. The last thing, I'm sorry, I think we're like completely
I
out
could
of
do this
time.
forever, man. I was just wondering, like, before you last, I was just wondering, like, what projects are you kind of turned on right now by? Like, are there any projects that are fucking nailing it, like, or that are really delivering on what they set out for at the beginning of the year? As the year went on, you're like, wow, look at this, it's something.
I'm more interested in the project which got more sort of they depreciated in the price and people got into the FUD and they think that, oh, that's probably a scam, or it's not worth the what they initially stated, but in fact they are mostly just blind because of the price. But those projects I really like, and it's still with stronger fundamentals. Yeah, I like, for example, what I did, NKN. Do you know that?
Who?
NKN. NKN, new kind of network.
No, it sounds
So
interesting.
the idea is that they basically allow they make a network which can share your traffic between different parties, and so if you have the traffic which you don't use, you can share it to your neighbors and get your revenue for that. And they
Like
use
internet bandwidth?
sort of, yeah, very well,
Ah,
not sort of,
so
yes,
so my neighbor who is currently for free mooching off of my internet, I
yeah,
could be
exactly,
monetizing that with
absolutely, yes, yes, yes,
microtransactions. That
yes.
would be
And they have this.
nice.
Yeah, well, these are the concepts, and like Elastus, for example. I like Elastus. I like Substratum. I like,
Stratum's cool.
yeah, even like Knowles. I like even Nano. I know a lot of controversy about that, but I like Nano. I like Neo, although it is said that, oh, Neo is dying, but man, I like Neo.
Man,
And
Bitcoin's dying.
exactly, exactly. Um, yeah, last thing, while I didn't forget about it, I was just going to make a little bit of hopium for everybody who is watching and think that Bitcoin still may die.
That's what I'm smoking
Uh,
right now, everybody. Some hopium.
okay, now I need to get something of these too. In
Ooh,
Japan,
I'm
it's
gonna
not
get a Lambo. Bitcoin's going to new all-time highs. I'm gonna 10x. Oh, I'm going all in.
time to buy
Exhales.
Bitcoin. So just think about the thing that in principle you say, okay, Bitcoin is decentralized. You can't kill it, right? You can't say that it's forbidden and you like restrict using it or something. But it's not true. You can. So if you think about the United States government, for example, which has the biggest influence of all over the world, and you would say that, okay, they would say, okay, we think that Bitcoin is using for terrorism too much, and we think that people use it for money laundering and like buying drugs and whatever. We think that it is wrong. So everyone which is doing with this shit will be a criminal. It is illegal. So, and can you imagine how many people will use it for after that? Like a very few, even though it's hardly traceable if you like using VPN, but still people will get scared. And all over the world will follow United States as they do now in general, mostly. So you can make it, but with all that FUD which happened so far, they didn't make it. They didn't say that it's forbidden, right? If they didn't already, why they will do it in future?
They won't.
Absolutely,
As
absolutely
Bitcoin
no reason.
grows, as Bitcoin's legacy grows, their ability to suffocate it, stifle it, hinder it, suppress it, keeps getting diminished by the day. Even during, especially during bear markets like this, progress is still being made. We still have miners mining. We still have developers typing and coding. We still have back ice. We have Goldman Sachs throwing money. We have the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. Come on, man. I can't. IBM, Microsoft. Who else? MasterCard, Visa. Jesus Christ, man. Starbucks. Amazon. Just come on, dude. Like, this is not the setup that smart institutional money does on something that is on its way out. Just letting everybody know, I am not a crystal ball owner. You know what I mean? I don't have like the third eye to look into the future of Bitcoin, but I have common fucking sense. I have total common sense that leads me to see the obvious perspective. If you look at the narrative, saying negative shit, doing things positively, investing into something they keep negatively talking about. Blatant manipulation of the perspective of the average person. You know, demonizing the currency Bitcoin while idealizing and worshiping the technology of blockchain. You know, it's the classic hat trick. Look at the internet. It's amazing, but don't invest in those internet stocks. They're a total bubble. You know what I'm saying? Computers will never be in everybody's house. Never invest in computer technology companies. It's a waste of money. It's a fad.
What the hell is this email? How does it work? Is it safe? We don't want it. We want just our faxes or whatever we use it right now. But come on. Yeah, it's the matter of the perspective, and it still amazes me how like people don't realize, the majority, I don't know, 99% of people who are not in the crypto, they don't realize that they are at the border of the new era. I don't want to. We're now sound like a moon boys speaking about, oh, we're going to like million or something. It's future and we crash banks and whatever.
I don't care if the price of Bitcoin's at $1,000 or less if it is mass adopted. I don't care if somehow they keep printing so much money that Bitcoin just can't. They keep fucking it up and manipulating it. I don't care. But what I care about is the adoption aspect. I don't care about the price. The technology will keep growing. I don't care what they do with the price, because if they keep fucking with the US dollar, they could do whatever they want with these stable coins. You know what I mean? With like, what is it? USDC. I mean, that's basically the Federal Reserve dipping their toe into this blockchain shit. So I don't care what they do with the price of Bitcoin. What the technology is doing is forcing the hands of these money transfer monopolies to loosen their strain on the control they have on it. So yeah, eventually they'll have to start playing ball, and they'll never stop trying to manipulate. That's just their whole life is controlling the absolute end of everything. The absolute control, especially financially. So I definitely see them trying to do that with the price, but I don't care if the price goes down or not. What I care about is the adoption of using a decentralized currency, period.
Actually, you say that you don't care about if you go $1,000, but it will be adopted. There is a thing here. If it will be mass adopted, then it will not be $1,000. It will be much grow. It's the absolute correlation between the one and second thing. And also, we often fall into the mistake of like thinking of that with respect to all the things which happened so far, especially the nearest past, and like especially during because of the price drop. But there are general rules and laws of the evolution of the market of finances, and we just see that we have the sort of underestimating of the fundamentals in terms of the price. Although the actual value of the fundamentals is growing, but the price is going down. It's like always happens when there is such a gap. Then the price will return back to the medium, to the level of the fundamentals, and eventually, as long as this will happen, on the way up, a lot of people will understand that, oh, it's actually something valuable and we were all wrong when we sold at the bottom, so we need to buy it again. And this will give a huge momentum on the top and will go much higher than this medium price. and we'll have a much bigger level than we had before. I don't want to sound like this Lambo Moon Boys, as I said, but it's just true. It's absolute true. And although we fell down from 20,000, I knew that will happen.
You know the
And
worst
I
way to get a
still,
Lambo?
I don't know.
Put $10,000 into a bank account and wait.
Oh yeah, exactly, absolutely.
That's it.
It,
Worst way to get a Lambo ever. You know what I
you can
mean?
get a toy Lambo.
Yeah, I guess after a couple years, if you're lucky, hopefully the Lambos are cheaper. I feel like
In
the
fact,
licensing rights to put Lambo on a toy ain't cheap.
yeah. Historically, by the way, currently we are in the era of fiat currency. So every country has a fiat currency, but it wasn't
Not
like.
every. No, not just fiat, right? We have
Oh yeah,
Venezuela
yeah. But I
using
mean,
Petro.
that's true.
Brazil is using what is that? Zcash?
No.
What
Is
is
it
it?
Zcash?
Is it? What's this? I got this
I
bracelet here that works with it. I think it's Smart
I've
Cash.
heard
Is
that
it Smart Cash or Zcash? Smart Cash maybe?
Japan.
I think it's Smart
Smart.
Cash in Brazil. But yeah, I have this MasterCard wearable.
Okay, that's
I,
cool.
I can load this up with crypto, go to Brazil, and spend crypto. Video coming
Yeah,
soon as I
I
can
don't
get
know.
around to it.
I've seen an article about the biggest Japanese bank, and I'm Japan. I know about that. They have a partnership with so much hated from XRP to make payments to Brazil. So that's actually really big. Not just for XRP. I mean, overall, again,
Well, they're
altcoins are
not using
competing with each other.
XRP, right? They're using Ripple. They're not using the
Uh,
currency XRP.
True, I think so. Yeah, but still, it's basically, although it's not the
This is
same
why I
thing,
hate
but they are
Ripple. It's such a
coupled.
fucking fucked conversation. It's
They
like,
are very clever.
isn't
Come
it?
on,
It
you
is good
should.
marketing, man. It is good
Yeah,
marketing, and that's what's important in this space. Like when I look at a lot of these altcoins, and I don't like kind of try to talk about because like I have the influencer title type kind of thing. Like I do look at a couple of these projects, and the first thing I look for is marketing. Like with Tron, dude, the first
Ron.
thing
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I bought Tron only because of Justin Sun. That's it. He
Absolutely,
is a
too.
marketing guru on Twitter. He is the shitpost king. He is the all-star of meme. He is the man.
We'll make our white paper made from other parts of other white papers, but we still will be one of the biggest
But that's
projects
the
in
thing.
the crypto
I can't
space.
talk about it because like the things I like about it are just horrendous, but it's the things that make it valuable, the marketing, the
Yeah,
partnerships,
absolutely.
all that tantalizing shit that the company does on the other end. I'm just thinking of it as the long-term like psychologist trying to like overview unbiasedly, like, oh well, this is going to be good for the long term. These companies with this funding, marketing, maybe misinformation, maybe misleading, maybe malicious, but at the end of the day they're educational. So, that cost isn't a real
Yeah,
loss. Like they say, there's no
absolutely.
spam on the blockchain, right? You have to pay for that interaction. So technically
Yeah,
it's not spam, even though people still call it spam, right? But it isn't, but it is.
yeah.
So
It's
that's
like
how I look
it's
at
like
it. It's
this
like it is spam in our lives, these scams, but they're not. They're necessary.
right. It's like this stellar airdrop. So they basically give it for free, but then they have a huge network effect. So more people will
Yeah.
know it. It's like I tell my friends, so guys, if you want like this, whatever, $25, just register. They of course they will get your email, whatever. But you have $25, you can use it eventually, and you will fall into this rabbit hole eventually
Yeah.
when will you realize it's a huge space and you will learn something about it. This is how the network expands.
Yes,
So
it
the
is.
same thing with XRP. Yeah, it some people love it, some people hate it, but still, again, I don't understand why there are so much of the conflicts between different altcoins. They say one say that's, oh, like I don't know, for example, VeChain against what it was, the some other coin which were competing with them and say you're scammers, or you're paying for like shilling and whatever. But come on, guys, you're working in the same space. You're doing the same job. You don't need to compete with banks, compete with traditional finances. You already have a lot of enemies around.
I feel like what they look at it as is like their responsibility to like, clean up this space, like Big Brother or Neighborhood Watch kind of stuff. Like companies that are calling out other companies in the same industries, in the same fields. I do see why they're like motivated to do it, but it only
Right.
shines more popularity on that scammy project. Or like, seeing a legit, like company talk about something that even if in a negative light, like the saying is no publicity is bad publicity is great publicity, you know what I mean? Like, so these scams love it when people talk even if it's negatively about
Yeah.
them. So you're right, they should focus on, creating something that's going to cause natural more good news and things about them than bringing up their competition to begin with. I guess I'll wrap things up, man. I mean,
Yeah,
we
yeah. I'm
still
sorry.
have
It was 2
we
hours
still
instead of
have
one.
like everybody here that's been watching is still here, so I really
Oh wow,
appreciate
that's cool.
everybody. I appreciate all the thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for the power chat. Head on over to bitbacker.io and you can give me a tip in crypto. And unlike this super chat here on YouTube where they steal 30%, I get the whole thing. So bitbacker.io, shout out to those guys. Yeah, man, let everybody know where you're at. Your links, if you guys are listening, his link is in the description box below. Go subscribe to his YouTube account. Go follow him on Twitter. Check him out on Steemit. Go ahead and let everybody know where you're at, what you're doing. Some final words, as it were.
Yeah, okay. So, by the way, please come to Japan. We can get some sushi with sake with you if you will appear to be here.
Yo, look, dude, if you have a
Shout
couch
it
I
out.
can crash on, I will come to Japan, but you have to promise we visit Hello Kitty Land.
Uh, we could. It's a bit far from Tokyo, but we can. We can. Actually, if you don't know about it, but probably a month, 2 months ago, there was a guy in Japan. If you know him in Twitter, Bistel Orion.
No.
You don't know? He's here, have like 50K followers, and he's
Oh,
crypto
wow.
guy. Yeah, you should look at him. So yeah, we hang out and it was a lot of fun. Anyway, yeah.
Shoot me a link. I'll
My
check him out. I mean, it's so hard keeping track because this year I traveled a lot, so it wasn't like I could really like internet network. But people that I met in real life, is kind of like a cool thing this year. But yeah, I'll definitely check him out, man. That's cool. I'd
yeah,
love to come to
also
Japan.
here is another Miss Bitcoin. If you heard about her in Japan, it's a Japanese lady who is quite of the enthusiast about the crypto and Bitcoin. She's very popular, and everybody in crypto space in Japan knows her. And she is charming. And yeah, so we met her actually. We met. I met her recently, and we were talking about crypto. And in fact, I have some ideas of the projects based on the blockchain, and I think they are brilliant. So we discussed those with her, and she got interested in my. I hope. So anyway, a lot
Hopefully,
of
she
people
doesn't
are.
Zuckerberg you.
I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, a lot of people are quite optimistic about the space here, and in particular, in Japan, it's like if you go to Roppongi, and during the nighttime you will see the huge billboard with Bitcoin. Or we went to the nightclub, and there was like a TV screen with just Bitcoin sign rotating without any like advertisement or commercial, whatever. So they just
Okay.
shilling crypto. Come on. So this is the country of shilling crypto. Yeah. So again, about myself, please go to the channel Crypto Hamster, one word, on YouTube, Crypto Hamster IO on Twitter, and also Steam it basically the same. But please follow and leave your comments and likes. I would be very appreciating that. Hopefully to see when the next bull run will be, and then more people will be interested. And let's just spread the right words and optimism about crypto and knowledge. I think it's one of the most important thing here, because people just don't know and don't understand. They think it's a scam and whatever, but you just don't. You need to understand, to think, to look at the things, and you will realize by yourself. It's not like rocket science. It's very simple, and if you'll put it in simple words.
The
So
that girl that you mentioned, what was her name?
Miss Bitcoin, Mia,
Miss
sorry,
Mia
Miss Bit,
Man, right?
sorry,
Mia Man.
Fujimoto. No. Fujimoto. My Fujimoto is her last name and first name, but it's
My
Miss Bitcoin.
Is it MAI? Is that how you spell it?
Uh, it's
I think
MAI.
yeah,
MAI.
I met her. Yeah, my buddy
Oh,
in the
really?
chat,
Okay.
DJ Me Popsicle, he's in the chat right now, and he reminded me that I actually met her. I met her a few times, but
Okay.
we met her at Toronto at Futurist conference,
You should say
and
Tarana.
yeah, in Toronto.
Yeah, well, I mean, Canadians say Toronto. You should say Toronto, otherwise you will make them
Yeah.
piss off.
No, dude, they love me, man. They know I'm Americanized
Yeah, everybody
Canadian.
love you.
But we met her at Toronto, and she was taking a power nap on the bench outside, and my buddy Sean woke her up with a flower, and it was like the coolest way to meet her. But yeah, that was really cool. We got to meet her. So yeah, I know who you were talking about, which is
Ah,
funny. I
cool,
just didn't
cool.
know her YouTube name. I know her real name. So yeah, guys, that was our chat for 2 whole hours. Crypto Hamster, I'm so sorry to keep you
Ah,
so long, dude. I know it's like fucking 6 a.m. where you're at, dude. You got breakfast to
yeah,
get.
I
Breakfast!
have my banana. By the way, if you don't know why I'm called crypto hamster, I don't think that people know that. Do you know what's the hamster in finances?
No.
No?
Like,
So we have whales, right? You know what whales are?
yeah.
We have sharks also.
Okay.
Sharks is those like midterm mid-size investors who can like dive together with whales and get some pieces of the meat. And we have hamsters, like
See,
millions of those which got cut with their investments and
but
feed
you
the
lost me there because like you see how like the theme was like sea animal, right? Like whale, shark, and then you totally throw the theme
it's
out the
not it's
window
not
and
it's
went
not my
hamster.
intention. Come on. It's the like standard notation for those things. It's not
Really?
me
I've always
made
thought
it
of
up.
them as minnows because, like, maybe that's just me because I'm not like traditionally educated, right? Like, I'm
Of course
totally uneducated financially speaking when it comes to traditional like sector. So when I came into the space and I heard of whales, the first thing in my mind was like, oh, I'm a minnow, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm
Yeah, yeah,
krill.
I
I'm
understand. Yeah.
krill at this point.
Yeah, so anyway, the idea of this name was just to represent the average Joe in the space, and like I'm as everyone. I don't have any particular like influence or advantages or knowledge or something. Just a regular guy on internet who is trying to speak properly about
Have you
things.
ever seen The Nutty Professor 2?
Who?
Because there was a hamster in that movie, and it got really big.
Okay,
Um,
hopefully, yeah,
So that's what I'm saying.
yeah,
Yeah, like so. I mean, being a crypto hamster today may be true, but like we were saying, there is high possibility of, financial reward for being early into something so speculative and risky. So you
yeah,
may
right.
become like a whale hamster at some point. You may this may not be your final form. Is all I'm saying.
If you look at my avatar on Twitter or on YouTube, you will see what I mean. It's actually not exactly the hamster like a fluffy type one, but it's like a sort of cyber hamster at the moment. So it's still powerful. I hope. I hope. At
It's
least,
awesome. I
yeah.
love it, man. Well, hey
With the
guys,
bloody
again.
bloody hands, like I love this figure.
So,
I
guys,
think.
if you enjoyed our chat, follow him, subscribe. There are links below. Click the
Please.
links. I appreciate all of the thumbs up. Please pound that thumbs up button. There's a subscribe button. It looks like the subscribe button that you may have clicked previously on other people's YouTube channels. Click it right here on my YouTube channel.
And
And
also, I need to give credits to Ken because this is the great like chance to talk with the huge YouTubers for to the average person. I don't think that anyone actually made such a like a campaign, I would call it, to
yeah,
like talk
streaming
with
with
like everyone.
strangers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's awesome.
So yeah, if
But
you're interested in what he's saying, you can go to my Twitter account at Kenneth Bosak, and there's a pinned tweet. There's a link right there that you can click, and you can become a guest just like Crypto Hamster today on my podcast. I do it every day, and I'm literally booked every single day until February.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll be doing a 1 hour podcast or potentially longer like this one every single
Thanks,
day
man.
with somebody new. And I've had founders of companies on my show recently. I have founders of coins. I've had, investors, and I've had, just average crypto hamsters like yourself on my show, man.
Yeah,
So I'm
exactly.
excited. I'm excited to do this. I'm pleased that many people want to talk to me. So if you guys find it, interesting and you want to come on the show, go on the Twitter, hit me up. There's a link pinned tweet. Come on the show and we can do this. Yeah,
No,
guys.
it's a great. I appreciate. I think that everyone who had a chance to come to your stream, I think they all very thankful what you're doing. You spend a lot of your time just to talking with strangers. But I know it's the networking. It's spreading the word. It's
Yep.
great. Thank you for your work.
Hey, man, thank you for your time. All right, guys, we're out of here. Like I said, pound the thumb up button. Just hit that thing. Subscribe. And if you hold your phone like this and you flick the little alert bell right next to subscribe, it'll make a ding sound. If you don't believe me, do it anyway. All right, guys, have a day.
Hey.
Shout out to Satoshi's Ball by JarsLearnCrypto.com in Ottawa, December 15th. Monarch Token and Monarch Wallet, StrokenTokens.com, Bitcoin Energy, and BitBacker.io. Shout out to Satoshi's Ball by JarsLearnCrypto.com in Ottawa, December 15th. Monarch Token and Monarch Wallet, StrokenTokens.com, Bitcoin Energy, and BitBacker.io. Shout out to Satoshi's Ball by JarsLearnCrypto.com in Ottawa, December 15th. Monarch Token and Monarch Wallet, StrokenTokens.com, Bitcoin Energy, and BitBacker.io. Shout out to Satoshi's Ball by JarsLearnCrypto.com in Ottawa, December 15th. Monarch Token and Monarch Wallet, StrokenTokens.com, Bitcoin Energy, and BitBacker.io. Shout out to Satoshi's Ball by JarsLearnCrypto.com in Ottawa, December 15th. Monarch Token and Monarch Wallet, StrokenTokens.com, Bitcoin Energy, and BitBacker.io. Shout out to Satoshi's Ball by JarsLearnCrypto.com in Ottawa, December 15th. Monarch Token and Monarch Wallet, StrokenTokens.com, Bitcoin Energy, and BitBacker.io. Shout out to Satoshi's Ball by